All right. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. This is the Bottom Line, and once we gather here tonight, we talk about business, and we are coming your way live from our studios here at Ridge in Accra. Tonight is a very special night. We're having a special meeting or discussion with the Member of Parliament for the Tamale Central Constituency, Honorable Murtala Mohammed Ibrahim, and he's also the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. Tonight, we engage him on matters in the environmental sector, especially on degradation, and that's the flyer that we put out. But most importantly, we want to be focusing on galamsey, illegal mining, and how we will, as a country, be able to resolve and solve the conundrum surrounding the entire illegal mining issue, and how we'll be able to do safe mining here still in the country. We talk about the figures. If you look at the last budget read by the Honorable Minister of Finance, Kisela Tufosen, there were issues about a boost in revenues from the mining sector, and there are concerns about what the illegal mining has contributed entirely to this sector. However, how do we do safe mining? How do we protect our forest reserves? And how do we ensure a sane environmental setup here in our country? Tonight, we have an engagement with the minister himself. And I'm sure that if you watch him all the time, you would engage or you will be happy about his conversations. We are happy to have him tonight. I will take a quick break. When I come back, it will just be the conversations, and then when we have time, it would allow you to put across your questions. If you have any concern at all about this particular illegal mining issues, let's hear it. Let's see the questions that you have. If we have time, of course, we'll put it up for our minister to answer them for us. So stick and stay with us. We'll be right back.
Fire pomudi ni agobi Ghana funi aji efi say ya your local spices na ya frafra dia ya sankofa natural spice
me dey go me jollof mu ni mi still ahodoma emanate dance
Stanley the barbecue the go on
sankofa natural spices and one even use 100% natural said the happen
Adofo mamu huge mistake sankofa natural spices the
FDIG ejodi nkratu yatu
Easter, Easter. Easter mboso ewe ekuapem. Enjoyment no be sha se fi OPK. Ewo mampong ye dia wom we kropong afifi mu ekosie dukrom. Easter Friday da no OPK mampong ofie ba eno super ba de wan kwo ho a ebe boso se eja na Easter Sunday watch party no de wan ba ebe fa ukon se wu. Eye weda no degree Celsius no ye very chill. Easter yi se wendi abutechi ana se Latte Junction fufu a en na kire se wan kwo ekropong. Mati se wosi abranti amati dede so beba be woso no wo Metro TV the original TV say yan fro ekuapem be pawno na yan kwatwa ye hu spere de eye Easter ofie bra na yan kodi no peche.
All right, you welcome back from that quick break. And I told you earlier on that tonight I have the privilege of hosting the Honorable Minister for Environment, Science, Technology, and Innovation, let me add the doctor to it. He's a PhD holder. And I remember the story he told about how he got the motivation to do the PhD. I would introduce him and I will ask him first about that story. I found it very intriguing. So Dr. Mohammed Murtala Ibrahim is a Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation and also the Member of Parliament for the Tamale Central constituency. He is our friend and we haven't had the opportunity to congratulate you yet since your appointment. Congratulations, Honorable Dr. Murtala Mohammed. I hope you're doing well. Dr. Comrade Murtala Mohammed. But I'm happy that you have the... Oh, sorry, your mic is actually off. So let me welcome you once again and then congratulations to you on the feats that you have been achieving. His Excellency the President appointed you as a Minister of the Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. But first of all, you mentioned or you spoke about the story of how you became a doctor. Now, the motivation from your friends in Parliament. What happened?
No, that was not the PhD.
That was not
the
PhD.
The LLB.
Okay.
When I came to Parliament and he insisted that I needed to do law, and then I told him I wasn't interested in doing law, and he insisted and got me the form to do LLB. After the LLB, I didn't see the need to proceed with the professional course. Maybe perhaps I may do LLM in future because academia is the place I want to end up with. I enjoy teaching.
Okay.
Yes, I enjoy teaching, actually. I really, really do enjoy teaching. Before I went to Legon, I went to Tamale Teacher Training College. So I was a trained teacher with certificate A. You know, I think now they run diploma and degree courses. And before I went to Legon. So it was the LLB, it was the law that he encouraged me to do, and for which I sincerely and profoundly appreciate.
That I'm happy about the way you speak about it and put it out there. I mean, for everybody to know that you are like this in Parliament. You have friends, you have... So the politics we see out there is not how it is.
Well, politics is a matter of choice and interest at any point in time. I tell people that if political parties' association were based on heritage, I think that I would have been more NPP than many MPP guys. And I say this.
You said this before.
And I say this with all the seriousness. My grandfather was one of the founding fathers of the UP tradition. You know, the embattled renaming or naming of the Tamale International Airport was named after my grandfather. But I think that President Mohammed did the best thing by changing it because clearly everybody appreciates the contribution my grandfather made to the UP tradition and the politics of this country. But I think that the reasons for which we felt that it should be named after Gbiwa were more compelling than naming it. So if associating with political parties are based on heritage or lineage, if you like, I would have been more. But as a young man growing up, I developed the interest in understanding and reading around the political history of Ghana, and nothing could be more convincing than associating myself with Nkrumah, you know, the ideologies and what he stood for. My father was an avowed CPP man, but my maternal grandfather was one of the founding fathers of the UP tradition. I mean, he was an excellent communicator. If you listen to him speak, he spoke an impeccable English language. But the fact that my grandfather associated himself with the UP tradition doesn't mean that I should.
Yes, but I ask you this because I know you personally. I mean, out of the studios, the way you relate with everybody, the way, not just politicians, even staff of Metro TV, when you come here and you close, the way you relate, when you stand on TV and you speak, and it is political, maybe in Parliament or you are talking in MPP, some people may think you are not friends with them at all.
Well, I'm not a hypocrite. I am not a pretentious type. I speak my mind and I say it as it is supposed to be said. I don't tell people what they want to hear. I tell them the truth. And when it comes to political party I associate myself with, I don't compromise principles. I believe in the ideals of the NDC. Look, my father was never a friend to the NDC. My father was a CPP man. And I remember in 1996, when the CPP, in fact, PCP, I don't know how old you were at that time, when they entered into alliance with the NPP, which was described as the Great Alliance. My father had returned from store, and then our main entrance to our house was the NDC poster. And he asked me who put the poster, and I mentioned one of my senior brothers. And he said I should go and remove it and go and get the PCP poster there. The house belongs to him, and that my brother could use the poster on the entrance of his door, his room, but not on the main house, because my father was an avowed CPP man, even though my father was not an educated person, but at least he dealt with educated people as a businessman. So in growing up, I developed interest to read around the political history of this country, and nothing could be more convincing as someone who was looking for social equity, looking for progressive development of this country, where everybody is treated equally, regardless where you are coming from, regardless your background. And nothing could be convincing to me than associating myself with Nkrumah and what Nkrumah stood for. Nkrumah was not a son of, if you like, the lawyers and merchant businessmen.
Yes.
He was a son of a teacher.
Yes.
I realized some time past people denigrated teaching, that I'm told he's even a teacher. You know, as if teaching certificate is not valuable. Nkrumah was. So if you look at what the CPP stood for, which is leaned towards center-left, more or less, but Nkrumah was a pragmatic and progressive, socialist. Look at the Akusumbo Dam. Even though at that time his ideological position was opposed to what the right-wing political party of America, or even the political system of America, but he felt that Ghana needed Akusumbo Dam, and it didn't matter where he was getting it. He went in for it, even though he was diametrically opposed to what the American ideological political system, whether Democrat or Republicans, stood for and still stand for. He felt that Ghana was first, and he did that. So if you read about the political history of this country, without any biases, a neutral person, you certainly will have.
Let me run away from politics, because when I meet you, I mean, we usually have discussed politics in most of our meetings, but what intrigues me also,
I don't know whether you are a journalist or a politician.
I'm a journalist.
No, both.
I'm a journalist. But let me. I am happy about the fact that I'm having you tonight, and you've been appointed to the Ministry of Environment, because I know what you did, for example, at the Ministry of Trade when you were the Deputy Minister some years back. And so when you were appointed to the ministry, I was happy because I would have the opportunity to ask you what you are doing there, what change you are bringing on board. You have talked about resetting. What are you going to reset at the ministry? What should we see? 3 months into government entirely, and then you have also been appointed to the ministry. What's happening there so far?
Well, let me first and foremost say good evening to you, good evening to your cherished viewers, and most importantly, the good people of Tamale Central. And permit me to use this opportunity also to congratulate the approved Metropolitan Chief Executive of Tamale Metro. I was there when the process began. I'm a member of the Metropolitan Assembly, but I don't have voting right. So I participated in the process. When they were about to start the voting, I had to leave because I needed to catch my flight back to Accra. And I got information subsequently that he got 100% approval.
Oh, wow.
For me,
that's a resounding approval.
And it's not just a resounding approval to the person who was nominated, but it's a demonstration of resounding approval to President Mohammed, because that is his nominee. For me, I think that I have no doubt whatsoever in the competence of the gentleman who is now the MC. He's the longest-serving assembly member of Tamale Metro. I don't think in Northern Region there's any assembly member who has served as long as he did, and he was once the presiding member. It is our prayer and hope that he would work in collaborative fashion with everybody, most importantly, the traditional leaders, the religious leaders. These are major stakeholders as far as the governance of the Metropolitan Assembly is concerned. There's a huge concern for drug use, particularly this Tramon. And I am on record to have said, even in Tamale, that even if those who will refuse to vote me because of my strong position against drug use and the support of volunteer groups, young people in Tamale who felt that there was the need for them to work with the security agencies to stop this menace. I supported them publicly, and I didn't care the political consequences of it, because it's a moral duty and a responsibility. In fact, it's a religious duty for me as a Muslim to stand in support of those who were fighting against that. And so that is a major challenge that he'll be meeting, and also discipline. Look, everybody...
I'm sure he must have some collaborations with, for example, the youth minister, youth and development minister has launched a program against the use of tramol and drug abuse and so on and so forth. I am happy about that. Yeah, it is. It is. It is. We spoke to him here, and then he gave some data and details about how it is affecting our, not just the youth, but the entire economy, because the youth who will get to work are the people who are engaging in these drug abuse. And so,
you see, I once said that if we think that it's a fight that should be limited to a certain group of persons, and someone may think that because his children are indeed raised in an enclosed setting, they are not exposed to such that, and you think that you don't need to participate in this fight, someone will take that drug, see your child, and stab your child to death. And so everybody has a responsibility. And those who are engaged in it, and to be very honest, and I want to speak directly to those who are engaged in it in the form of business in Tamale, wallahi, it's a major sin that they are committing. It's just as someone who sells alcohol to people or someone who sells cocaine to people, because you are making out of it, but you should be reminded that it has health implications, consequences on the lives of people who may not be your children. So the sin that one will get, you know, we Muslims, we abhor alcohol. The sin a person would commit for selling alcohol or drinking alcohol is the same sin, if not worse, of someone who sells tramor as a business to make money. You can do that and build those number of houses, but Allah will judge. And I think that we all have a duty and a responsibility
to make sure that we resolve, we fight the abuse of
challenge. That I think that the MCE, and I believe many MCs and DCs across the country, is because it permeates through you know, our fabrics as a people, and it happens everywhere. I think that all of us, and you people in the media and religious leaders, must be active participants in ensuring that we all collectively fight against this. So that is the challenge that you face. As to what's
happening in your ministry,
I've had these questions umpteen times. People want to know, some would ask you, what legacy do you intend to leave as the Minister for Environment? Let me thank His Excellency President Mohammed for giving me the privileged opportunity to serve him as the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. Innovation has been realigned to the Ministry of Communication. But let me use your medium to say, it is not entirely innovation which has been taken from the Ministry of Environment. It's digital innovation. Because if you look at the agencies under the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, most of them, their core mandate and function is to research and innovate. So entirely innovation cannot be insulated from the work the ministry does. So it is just digital innovation which has been taken to my good friend and a brother, Honorable.
But even that, you need to have an effective collaboration, because I will be asking you about the STEM education and all of those ones, the use of computers and the digitalization of these STEM education, so that it's not just sitting by the books and learning, but also being able to use all of these. But so I'll come to that. But let me allow
so when they ask me what legacy, I say I have no legacy to leave except the legacy that will be left by President Mohammed. Every appointee is supposed to work in tandem with the vision and policy direction of appointing authority. In this case, His Excellency the President. The legacy I would leave is that once I am able to discharge the responsibilities given me by His Excellency the President to discharge, once I'm able to do that, I'll be the happiest person that indeed I have left a legacy. I can't come to the Ministry of Environment and say that I want to do ABC. Of course, there are certain things that you may want to do, as long as they are in sync with what His Excellency the President wants to do. So the President's vision is very clear, clearly spelled out in the NDC's manifesto. He indicated what he intended to do. Galamsey was started as an environmental challenge. It has gone beyond just environmental challenge. It is now a security matter. It is now a safety matter. It is now a health matter. And I say this because Galamsey, so to speak, is about the destruction of the environment. That is illegal mining.
Yes.
And let me make this point.
And I'm happy to bring it up because
it is not mining that
it's
we are
the thrust of our discussions tonight.
Yes.
So I would allow you to flow.
It is not
mining that.
mining that we are against. We are against illegal mining. Mining that is done not in line with law, not in line with the procedures acceptable, determined and acceptable by the state as enshrined in our legislature or in our laws. That is what we are against. And once mining that is done without giving respect to some of these procedures, certainly it would have some consequences. It will generate certain things that are negative. That is why we have water bodies being destroyed. That is why we have land being destroyed. That is why we have livelihood of people being destroyed. Agriculture is affected. It has become a health matter because we are picking information about health consequences in Galamsey-prone areas because water bodies are destroyed. Water that people were using for domestic purposes. And certainly when you drink water that is hugely contaminated with heavy metals, it has health implications. So it has become a health matter. It has become a security matter because we are told and we have seen that there are people, arm-wielding men, some of whom are not even citizens of this country, who actually have invaded our forest areas, who are engaged in this manner. So it has become a security matter. And that is why fighting Galamsey is no longer just one prone issue. It's a multifaceted challenge, and you need multifaceted or multi-prone, measures to be able to fight it. So when I talk about all this aspect, the implication it has now, certainly Ministry of Environment alone can't do it.
Of course.
Ministry of Lands alone can't do it. You then need to bring in Ministry of National Security would have to come here. Ministry of Interior would have to come here. In fact, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because when you have foreigners who are engaged in these illegal activities, it has some diplomatic implication.
I agree.
And Ministry of Local Government, Religious Affairs, and Chieftaincy Affairs. Those issues are very important. Now, if you listen to my vetting, when I was being vetted, I made references to both biblical quotations and Quranic quotations. I made references to what the Quran says on the matter of the need for us to sustain the environment, prevent the destruction of same, both in the Quran and also in the Bible. And I did indicate that even Islamic jurisprudence, and when we talk about the hadiths, the sayings of the Holy Prophet, that even in war, the Holy Prophet says that you should not cut down trees. Even in war, you should not destroy water bodies. Even in war, where you even become a victor, don't cut down trees, don't destroy water bodies, don't kill the aged, don't kill children, don't kill the women. Even when you are being killed, that is a major sin. That's a huge sin. So there is a moral responsibility. So my reference to both Quranic, quotations and biblical quotations when I was being vetted was to send a subtle message to our religious leaders that they have a huge role to play. Hitherto, the focus was just on we politicians.
Okay.
And I think that they have, in fact, you can describe them as influencers. Every Ghanaian, most Ghanaians are religious.
Yes.
We either go to mocks every day and
of course, we do.
Every day now and every Sunday we go to church. So when you have such people, such revered religious leaders, who would add in their sermons, in their preachings, the need for us to protect the environment, I think that it will make a lot of impact. And that is why we involve in broadening the stakeholder engagement, involve traditional leaders and religious leaders.
Right. But it will not just be about engagement. And from where you sit now, I can ask you very direct questions. One, is there the political will currently to be able to resolve the problem of Galamsey? And will you, of course, with other colleagues that you have mentioned, Kofi Amabua, we see him every day, Minister for Lands, we see you every day. We see your other colleagues every day. You are talking about, and I'm happy about the grasp you have on the matter and how you think that there should be that synergy, collaboration between these setups to be able to tackle the matter. But will we be able to tackle the matter with the current state and with the current concerns that come up from people?
Well, first and foremost, one thing I can assure you, if there is any Chinese woman who is engaged in Galamsey and such a person is arrested and then prosecuted, President Muhammad will not release such a Chinese woman. That I can assure you.
But you are amending the act.
I'm saying that. I'm coming.
Right,
I'm saying that if there is any Chinese woman, we've seen like Asha Wan, President Mohammed will not allow Asha Wan to leave at a cost and disregard and disrespect to our judiciary system. President Mohammed will not do that. It is also important for you to understand that we are not announcing our strategy in the fashion of jamboree as we experienced in the past. Now, how did we know that about 9 forests in this country were overtaken by arm-wielding young men?
And these are supposed to be protected forests.
How did we know? We are able to know because we started quietly by gathering intelligence. And the security agencies under the leadership of the National Security Minister and National Security Coordinator and also the Minister of Defense and Interior, they were, and the police, leadership, they gathered intelligence. One, were able to know that 2022, the then government withdrew all security forces from the forest areas. Withdrew 2022. So it was free for all. And to prevent the Galamsey activities. 2022. Erastus indeed has confirmed this particular assertion. And I've seen Dr. Ashigbe, who on national TV, who also confirmed that they were actually indeed removed. They were withdrawn. So it was free for all. Now we're able to know because of the intelligence we did. And we identified that 9 forest areas were just no-go area. We never announced this until we started taking action and yielding results. It was when we liberated 7 of the 9 that the Minister for Lands made a public pronouncement as to the fact that 7 out of the 9 were taken off. And I can tell you, as we talk now, I believe that the other 2, because I was away, I believe that the other 2, something would have been done. Now, the security agencies and forces alone may not be able to police the entire forest areas at the same time. Because if you look at the areas are vast, where people are engaged in it. So what we are doing is not just about getting them out, but ensuring that they do not go back. And I remember that Erastus in one of the reports...
do not go back into the forest.
Yes, Erastus in one of the reports, this indicate that some of the places, he said yes, they actually got them out of these 7 forest areas, but some of them were going back.
Yes.
And such information is important, that when we get them out, and then you find some of them sneaking back. Now, we are even employing AI, a scientific and technological process where we can be able to determine, after we get all these people out, that if there is any activity that is going on in any of the areas that indeed we cleared these galamseyers, we'll be able to determine, and then you'll be able to move in there, get them out. However, I also did indicate that we had about excavators that were seized.
Yes.
About 100 excavators, and then you have some pickups and some bulldozers. And I said that 40 excavators, which were seized, exclusive of the 100 excavators, were taken back. And then people said, they even went and misrepresented it. I mean, absolute propaganda and lies that I said that the 40 excavators could not be found, when it was very clear what I said on several platforms. Now, the reason why the 40 excavators, they were able to take them back because, they have a control system. And without the control system, you cannot move the excavator. These are huge equipment. Now, for you to even move the excavators from where they are found, some of them, the places are muddy. You need a low bed. The low bed will be able to carry them out. Now, when these 100 excavators were gotten, the other 40 excavators, by the time they came back, when they hear that the security forces have
come around, they
quickly dismantled the control board and then flee. Now, they came back and did that. That was why some of us were suggesting that why not look at the legal processes, the directive that those excavators not be bent. President Mahama indeed made that directive that we should not.
Now, why shouldn't they be bent?
No, I'm coming. You see, when he said that they shouldn't be bent, that we could use them for certain purposes. When I said that myself and my senior brother, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, we were making a proposal that we should have some of them bend. We're not saying that bend the entire excavators, but those excavators that they bolt away with the control system.
Should be bent.
Because by the time you get back there, they would have come back
with the control system, moved it away.
But there are other suggestions that people are making. This was just a suggestion that we think that, look, we could look at it. We're not saying that when you come, just bend excavators. But those excavators, they succeed in taking the control board or the control system and then bolt away. Now, what do we do? Because by the time you leave them and leave, they would have come back to fix the
control board on the machines and then move them away.
So this was just a suggestion that we're looking at. So it took some serious intelligence gathering to be able to identify.
But in all of this, is there an action plan? Because you have stayed in opposition, you lambasted government for its inaction in being able to solve. So the thinking is that, I mean, staying back in opposition, coming into government, you have a specific plan. And so once you get in within 3 months, I'm happy about that, of course, taking over back at least 7 protected forests back to the country or to government. But we are still facing the problem. And you talk about Aisha 1, that government will not deport. If you find the president will not
support. You asked me about the political will, and I said, what I can assure the people of this country.
Yes.
President Mahama will not allow any Chinese woman.
But you have your minister, interior minister, saying that about 170 people are going to be deported back into their countries.
No, you see, let's get something very clear. When you have a person who is arrested for engaging in an illegality, in this case, Galamsey, such a person is being prosecuted by a court of competent jurisdiction. And then the president decides to truncate the process and let the person go. Wasn't that an affront to our judiciary in this country? Strangely, the Ghana Bar Association didn't see the need to condemn that act. If President Mahama attempted such a thing, I'm telling you, the entire world would have heard of the Ghana.
But how different is it? How different is it from the 170
The Ghana
people?
Bar Association would have. Now, we need to find out from the Minister for Interior, and I expect you to do that as a journalist.
Yes.
What kind of foreigners who are engaged in it are you talking about? Is it that foreigners who are directly caught being engaged in Galamsey activities? So these are some of the issues, and these are questions that you should be asking. I shouldn't be asking them. But I'm saying that, wouldn't it sound preposterous, to say the least, that a government that indeed created the mess, and in fact, for about 2 years, they withdrew all military forces who were operating in Galamsey areas. And the mess that we experienced, within 3 months, you think that President Mahama and NDC, we are indeed in a position to judge how this government has performed as far as this Galamsey.
Oh, no, hold on.
I have heard this question time beyond number, that some have even gone ahead to judge and say that, I have just told you, we were able to work with speed of light, that within 2 months, or 1.5 months, the security agencies gathered enough intelligence to be able to tell us that 9 forests in this country were overtaken by armed wielding military men. And within the same period, we were able to liberate about 7 out of the 9 forests, and we're in the process of liberating the entire forest. Within the same process, the same period, what we have done, seized about 100 excavators, and also tipper trucks, pickups, and a bulldozer. We have been able to do that within the period of 2 months. President Mohammed's administration is less than 4 months. And that is why I'm saying that doesn't this sound outrageous? Then anybody would think that within this time that you should be able to do the magic one. But you see, I'm coming.
The action of prosecution.
I'm coming.
The action of prosecution will make us
let me land.
More confident about the approach.
No. When
you prosecute them.
When you say prosecution,
yes.
I am not a lawyer. I only have LLB. Prosecution, you made arrest, and someone expect that as a result,
you said that before you came to power.
Some have been prosecuted. Some are even in the process of being prosecuted. Prosecution doesn't start with just being in court. Prosecution starts with investigation, where you are able to ascertain that there are enough evidences or grounds for you to prosecute.
They were caught on the land.
I'm saying that yes, but I've told you those people are being prosecuted. There are instances in some of the district courts. People are being prosecuted, and the Minister for Interior, indeed, and Justice have all indicated this.
But I don't know how many times people. Why are they being deported?
Have you ever asked the Minister of Interior?
We'll get to ask him.
But so you haven't done
he
that.
must have.
Hold on, please.
He's your colleague. He comes to cabinet. I'm sure that he has updated.
Please. You are making this statement. You have a moral duty.
The statement is from him. It's from the minister.
Can I finish?
Oh, you have the
You engage him. The media engage him, and he made that statement. And the media didn't see the need to ask him. Then you allow the Minister for Environment, Science and Tech to come here, and then you are telling me, under pretext that, oh, he's my colleague minister. I'm saying that when you ask him, he certainly would tell you. In fact, frankly, I haven't even heard the minister personally say, but I have read, excerpts of that, and I've heard people who discuss that. I have never even asked him. I haven't heard him, but I'm not doubting that he might not have said that. But I'm saying that it should be appropriate that you engage the minister. Either you go to his office, what kind of people were you talking about? Are you talking about people who are arrested and there is enough evidence to prosecute them, and you think that such people be deported into their country? Look, on the issue of the political will, President Mahama has demonstrated beyond number, and I indicated that it doesn't matter which political party you belong to, whether you belong to NDC or NPP. Once you are caught engaged in this activity, we won't spare you. And we say that with alacrity, because I know what His Excellency the President has told us. What we need to do, we have his more than 100% support. And that is why we have the courage to make such pronouncements. That is why we have the courage to make such pronouncements. And I'm saying that in terms of the political will of President Mahama, it is in no doubt whatsoever. If you have any evidence that someone was arrested with it and that person was asked to go, we live in a country, and perhaps maybe you've forgotten, that you had a minister for local government, my senior sister, Ajia Alima Mahama, when she met MMDCs, and she said, and I quote, "We know those of you who are engaged in Galamsey, and we shall soon come after you." She didn't say we have evidence that some of you are engaged. So we know those of you. As we sit today, they haven't gone for them. You didn't see the need to find out from Ajia Alima and co. why they knew those who were engaged in Galamsey, yet they never went for those people. So I'm saying that the commitment of President Mahama in fighting this Galamsey is not in question at all. He has indicated, look, we have had series of meetings with His Excellency the President on the matter. The LI, it is not for nothing that the LI 2464 we have been. That's
what I was coming to that people think that you are handling it with kids' gloves. You said you're going to repeal it, and now the talk is about amendment.
First and foremost, the reason,
and that's the reason people believe. That's the reason for which maybe the soldiers you say were withdrawn, the military who were withdrawn. I mean, it's around the same period, November 2022, thereabouts. The LI came into Parliament. It was passed, and
which LI came into Parliament? Yes, that was LI, the previous
LI 24. But you opposed it. Now, instead of repealing, which people believed that when you come into power, and I've spoken to some of the major stakeholders, people around the rivers who are being polluted and all of that, they think that you are going to stand up, repeal it straight away. They say you have a super majority.
Well, first, you're not
doing it.
Well, first and foremost, look, you see the Constitution of Ghana, the Constitution we have. When it was promulgated, perhaps we felt that it was near perfection. Of course, some will still have some challenges with regards to some of the clauses and provisions in the Constitution. But as we sit today, we had a Constitution Review Commission to look at some of the clauses in the Constitution. And President Mahama, you are aware that there is a committee that is to see how we can have the constitutional review. You have worked with associations and groups before, where you have a constitution. The moment you have those laws, enshrined in your constitution, you think it is near perfection. As you implement it, you begin to see that there are certain aspects of it that you need to change. The reason why this became a major, subject for discussion was not just the entire law. It was about the permission that the president had the discretion to permit people to mine in forest areas. If you look at the entire law,
but it is a law that was permitting people to do it illegally. On the pretext of prospecting.
I am coming. We never said the entire law was bad. We never said that. What we said was the aspects of it where the president would have the discretion to ask the minister for lands to give permission to certain entities to mine in forest reserve areas. That was the bone of contention. So I'm saying that if we say that we are going to repeal, and all the discussions and debate was centered on the aspects of the permission to mine in forest areas, and we say that we are amending that particular clause, it's a fulfillment of the promise we made. Look, let me tell you one thing. I have had discussions with people who have also raised some concerns. There are aspects of the law, particularly if you take the EPA law, for example, that is so good. That gives the EPA more power to bite. In fact, if you look at the new EPA law, that indeed now requires that the EPA permit should be a permit, as a condition precedent, that for you to go in for any permit, you should have the EPA permit first. Is that not it? So I'm saying that there are aspects of the law that are good. So you don't just come and say that we will take everything out. There were some discussions. And the argument which was the stronger argument was that, look, the reason why we are discussing this issue was because a permission was given to the president so that the authority, the president would have the discretion to permit anybody to mine in forest areas. Now, if you want to take care of that mischief, now let's just amend that aspect. Of course, there are some issues that people are raising now. And I'm saying that as a listening government, we are more than willing to listen. We could have taken it out and come out with another law. And I can bet my last penny. If we had come out with another law, and maybe within 3, 4, 5 months, someone would have said, no, there is a defect of this law. No law can be perfect. But the most important thing is that what generated the debate, the concern, the civil society organization condemned the action, was the fact that the president indeed took some powers to permit people, and everybody knew at that time, it was to permit a particular company to mine in forest reserve areas. And that's precisely
I have to go on break, but when I come back, I would quickly ask you whether government is now thinking that we should hasten slowly.
No, we haven't said that.
From the position of being in opposition and
no, we haven't.
No, that's my question to you. I'm not saying you're saying that, but that's my question to you as the minister. So let me go on the break and come back. This is Bottom Line. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You see,
look around. Home also need a makeover. Mine clearly does. So we went to Ashroom and found the Como collection. It had everything we're looking for and more. Matching furniture for the entire home, designed with you in mind.
Where's Como collection? Dressing up is just a breeze. Always ready with a perfect accessory.
A magic dressing mirror. One look and you're ready to face the world. Or at least the kids.
A bed perfect for young men who want
a table that turns into a treasure chest.
And finally, a sofa with this grand TV unit for family time at home.
Head over to any Ashphone store now and discover the new Como collection. Ashphone, feel it, know it.
Hi friend, where are we going today?
Just use your imagination.
Go, go, go! My family is the only thing that matters to me right now.
This is the stuff that Noni dreamed about.
These guys are the best. GoTV's ready to take you from your hometown to roaring stadiums and even on international adventures. So let's go together, from home or on the go with GoTV Stream.
Sounds like a great idea.
Woohoo! GoTV. Love it.
Easter, Easter. Easter mboso ewe ekuapem. Enjoyment no be sha se fi OPK. Ewe mampong ye dia wom we kropong afifi mu ekosie dukrom. Easter Friday da no OPK mampong ofie ba eno super ba de wan ko ho a ebe boso se eja na Easter Sunday watch party no de wan ba ebe fa ukon se wu. Eye weda no degree Celsius no ye very chilled. Easter yi se wendi abutechi ana se Latte Junction fufu a en na kire se wan ko ekropong. Mati se wosi abranti amati dede so beba be woso no wo Metro TV the original TV say yan fro ekuapem be pawno na yan kwatwa yan spere de eye Easter ofie bra na yan kodi no peche.
From the break, this is still there. You're welcome back from the break. This is still the bottom line, and I'm still with the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central. Yeah, so our discussions continued in the background. But let me come back, ask him that question, and let me come to the ministry where he is headed and see if we can squeeze out some time and do. You have a lot of things happening under your ministry. But let me ask you this last question. Are you thinking, I mean, through government, from all the ministries put together, that, well, when we were in opposition, some comments were passed, some actions were expected of government, but now we have taken the seat of government. We have analyzed the situation. We think that, well, some of the things that we have said we need to reorganize or re-strategize, still solve the problem, but hasten slowly.
Well, I think that, I don't know, I don't know why people would come to that conclusion. You know, recently I was in Geneva on UNTAD program, and then when I was making my comments on the issue of COVID and Ukraine.
And you said you never said COVID affected?
No. You see, I think go back and look at your archives. Even the video they brought in, they disingenuously took a portion. We never said that COVID and Ukraine could not have had some impact. What we refused to accept when the previous administration desperately wanted to blame every economic mess on COVID and Ukraine. That's what we said. And in any case, I attended the program. Then there were several ministers who attended the program before me. I mean, other ministers of environment and others. And the narrative and the argument they have always made to UNTAD and others was that the economic challenges we were facing was caused by COVID and Ukraine.
Ukrainian war.
And you have a new minister, then I go and I say, no, the previous government lied. You get what I'm saying? That demonstrates unpatriotism.
Yes.
So, like, wash your dirty linen in the public. You know, so when I went there and I said, look, there's no denying the fact that those things could have had. I reviewed even the statements that were made by previous ministers.
Right. Okay.
So if you have a previous minister who went and said, look, COVID and Ukraine and those things affected our economy, blah, blah, blah. And then you have a new government, a new minister, and say, oh no, the previous minister, when he came here, he lied to you people. That was not the reason. Are you getting what I'm saying? It will generate a whole lot of governance is continuum. Now, what we are doing as a government has nothing to do with what the previous administration felt were the reasons. Now, if you ask me whether we think that we must hasten slowly, tell me, all the things we have been able to accomplish as far as the fight against Galamsey is concerned, within the period of less than 3 months. And I say less than 3 months because the president, when he was elected and sworn in, he needed to constitute his government. And I can tell you, the very day I was sworn in, the next day, His Excellency the President summoned all of us. Myself, my senior brother, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. In fact, they even started engaging, His Excellency the President on the matter of the fight against Galamsey. So the political will is not in doubt.
Okay.
Today, I flew from Tamale. From the airport, I moved straight to the office. I had 2 important engagements. One was on carbon trading and the need for us to put in the necessary measures, one, to reclaim the destroyed land, to restore the water bodies, and to do some of the things that His Excellency the President promised to be done. Now, I have also indeed had another discussion.
To talk about the carbon trade. Somebody has sent me a question on that, but I can't seem to find it. But once you address it,
and all these things, a lot of discussions and meetings have actually taken place, all in the name of trying to see how we fight this menace. And mind you, we are not just looking about stopping Galamsey. We're also looking at how we can find alternative livelihood for the communities where this Galamsey activity is endemic. And I say this because there are some, justifiably or not justifiable, who have argued that they engage in Galamsey because they don't have jobs. Now, if you go and stop Galamsey in such areas, and you do not provide alternative livelihood, then it will be square 90. They will go back to engage in the things for which reason you would have spent so much money. Now, we have started the process of providing alternative livelihood for the communities where this Galamsey is affected. In fact, I had a meeting with the Secretary General of UNTAD. I know we have this every child per tree at the ministry.
That's an
we have the World Environment. We have the World Environment Day on the 5th of June.
5th of June.
Yes. And we shall be launching the Every Child per Tree And the reason is simple.
You'll do that on the 5th of June?
Yes, the reason is simple. Children are very competitive.
Yes.
Now, when every child is tasked with the responsibility to plant a tree, protect it and nature save, such a child would do it with vigor. Our planting of trees will be different from what the Ministry of Lands did under my brother Abu Jinapo, where you cannot even trace the number of trees. And I say this because now, if you go to,
but you saw it on TV. You saw him leading.
Let me just. You see, it should be transparent, so that journalists like you can go and verify. Now, for example, you know that every child per tree.
Yes.
If you take, let's say, which village are you from? I'm from Ijang.
I'm from Fadiman Ponti.
Fadiman Ponti. So if you have Fadiman Ponti LA, okay, primary, then you have 100 students in the school, and every child per tree. We go there and plant, let's say, 120, 150 trees. Minimum should be 100 trees. So that every child is tasked the responsibility
to take care of
a tree.
Wow.
Okay? Now, if you want to find out, and then you know that we have done this in this number of schools, you can easily calculate the number of pupils in those schools. And then when you go there, you should be able to count the number of, at least, the number of trees that is in line with the number of people. That is the most transparent way that we intend to do.
But you are accusing your own brother of not being transparent. And so we'll follow you up.
I haven't said he's not being transparent.
I mean, you said it will be different.
There have been several questions about the trees, not even from me, from you journalists and media. That look, some of you have said that you can't even find the number of trees that they claim. We were told 5 million trees were planted. There have been several commentary around that where journalists have raised questions about that. The fact that people are raising questions about the number of trees that were planted means there is a problem. Means that the transparency is not as adequate as it should be.
So the minister wasn't transparent with that?
The processes was not transparent.
For you?
No, for people like you, journalists who have raised concerns. It is not just me. So I'm saying that the system, the process we want to do, we will do it in schools, every child per tree. So we are not just come to say we have 100 students in this school, so we are planting 100 trees. Maybe some may die. We'll do, let's say, 120, 130, for example. Now, if you want to verify, so if I come out and announce that we have planted 5 million trees,
we can go to
you can go to that school
to
find out in the system how many trees. Okay. Because, mind you, every tree has a market value. Every tree. Each tree that was planted or is going to be planted will have a market value. The good thing about what we intend to do, we want to engage CSIR to have an agency to give us the trees to do that. So the resources that would have given to any something or something somewhere to provide us with the trees or the seedlings or whatever, you give it to CSIR. So it will also serve as a source of generating money for them, so that we can easily verify. So if I say we have 500 schools in northern region or in Ashanti region,
and you are planting 100 schools,
no, the number per school, assuming that you even go to one school, let's say Presec, and Presec has 500 students, and say, okay, Presec, we are going to plant 600 trees. You expect that at least some may die. Now, if someone wants to find out, if I say I've planted 500 trees in Presec, you can easily go to Presec. Every child will have to own a tree.
I don't know, but you are in parliament with your brother. I'm not sure he'll be happy with you saying that.
What have I said?
It's not transparent. It's not.
I have never said he's not transparent.
The processes were not transparent.
What I have said that if this process was transparent, why were you journalists raising questions about the number of trees that were planted?
But you could just ask him.
No, I'm saying that. Oh, please, if you, I'm asking you, journalists, why were you raising questions about the number of trees that were planted? Okay. So if he taxed people to plant those trees, people are asking questions. And I'm saying that if they had deployed the method that we want to deploy, I don't think that there would have been that problem. And that's what we intend to do as far as the tree planting.
I have 2 minutes to close, and we'll be following you up, of course. We know your busy schedule. We'll still
but there's one point I want to make.
I'm coming to that. I'm giving you that 2 minutes. I have 2 minutes to close, and I'll give you that 2 minutes. And science and technology entirely. I mean, the 1 million coders is beginning and all of that. And we just spoke about the fact that innovation has not been taken away from you entirely. What's the plan there in science and technology? And then you spoke about electronic waste too. And let me give you the 2 minutes to round up on that. And then I'm sure all other issues, there are too many issues in your sector. We'll find time, come sit down and then treat the rest. So,
well, first and foremost, in this country, we have a lot of research institutions, and academia is engaged in research. Those of us who have, at least at the master's level, you do a research. At the PhD level, you do research. The departments, the various departments are doing researches. I know University of Ghana, my department, political science, there are a lot of researches. You go to state agencies such as, GAIC, CSIR, you go to NRA, you go to NBA. There are a lot of institutions that are conducting researches. But when you go, you realize that a lot of their research outputs are left in the shelves to gather dust. There is a gap between research institutions, academia, and industry players, in this case, private entities. We are organizing the first science and technology fair in this country. Whoa. That will be the first of its kind. Whoa. And then when I discussed this with His Excellency the President, he encouraged us. We thought we could do it every quarter. And his advice to me was that we should do it biannually. In fact, I raised this issue at Geneva. The UNTAD Secretary General, others were so impressed about it, so that we can bring closer research outputs and industry players. And the reason why we want to do that, once we begin with this phase, it will be an opportunity for research institutions and academia to showcase what they can do, so that industry players and the private sector can take advantage of their research output. It is also an opportunity also for industry players to challenge research institutions, to conduct researches that are tailored with what they do. Look,
and they can actually be funding them.
Absolutely.
To do that.
So you see, I remember when I was vetting, and I said that my vision is that we should commercialize research output. It was misconstrued once again that I said that we should. I was going to commercialize research institutions. Yes. I was talking about research output. Example: Need Fufu was done by CSR. Pozzolano Cement.
Yes.
Was done by CSR. And then I think Need Fufu. The businessman Kwame Despite, he took advantage of it.
Yes.
So he's making millions out of it at the expense of CSR. Of course, they sold it to him. But I'm saying that once we're able to commercialize the output of their work, then the industry players can take advantage of it. Look, when I visited GAIC, I was flabbergasted that GAIC, indeed, as part of the work they do, they can provide services to a lot of hospitals in this country, particularly as far as their tools and machinery are concerned. But a lot of the hospitals are dependent
on import,
and dependent on so-called foreign experts who they pay huge sums of money to carry out activities that our research institutions will be able to do. Another last point in this country. Look at how much we spend in the importation of rice and poultry products in Ghana. 2023 alone. We spend 1.9 billion Ghana cedis in the importation of rice alone. So if you take rice and poultry, we spend close to $3 billion. $3 billion. Importing things we have the capacity to do what? To produce. So what we're simply doing, that if CSR, Crop Research Institute, Animal Research Institute, Food Research Institute, all the 13 institutes under CSR, and then you take at the institutes under GAIC, if we're able to give them the capacity and the support through this commercialization of their output, whether the state can come in there, that will go a long way to help. We have a research fund, which was established and to be administered by Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Environment. It is an opportunity also to assist some of these research institutions. I'll make a last point. If you take Noguchi, Noguchi, I have had interactions with the leadership of Noguchi. And I felt for them. Noguchi is under University of Ghana. Noguchi is not under any ministry or any state agency. Now, Noguchi is struggling. Now, if indeed we look at the research fund, couldn't it be an avenue for which the state can tap some resources in understanding with the University of Ghana, so that the state can come in as far as the financial needs of such institutions are concerned? When I went to Geneva, I had a privileged opportunity to have had a meeting. I was supposed to meet the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology and Education of Russia. At the 11th hour, the minister himself couldn't come. The deputy minister represented him. And he requested through our mission in Geneva that he wanted to engage me. When we met, there was a joint Ghana-Russia cooperation, which was entered into 2019. And then we realized that Ghana, we did what we were supposed to do, but the Russian didn't do what they were supposed to do. So when I put this to him, he said, look, you caused it. You know why? a single statement.
What was it?
Of your president. Now, a single statement made
What was the statement?
A single statement made by a president. Those of us who have some international relations background, becomes a foreign policy position of the state.
Yes, I agree. But what was the exact
the issue about Russia and you remember
Ukraine, Russia, Ukraine.
You see, the point is that we are non-aligned. Look, it is our interest is that there should be global peace. There should be global peace. But where our interest is supreme, that is why we need to move on. The good thing is that we've rekindled that cooperation, and it is going to help a lot.
So our relationship with Russia through your meeting now is better?
No, not with Russia. I'm saying that as far as that joint Ghana-Russia joint cooperation, agreement was concerned. It is not just, I don't have the capacity to strengthen my relationship with the president.
But we'll follow up to the office, definitely. So, Honorable Doctor, he says I should add the comment. But this is business, Joe. When we come to this platform, it's purely business.
I prefer the comrade and the doctor because it's
Honorable Dr. Comrade Murtala Mohammed Ibrahim.
You can add the honorable to yourself.
Is a member of parliament for Tamale Central, also the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. And I told you that whenever he sits on there, it's exciting. And for us here, we talk about how the GDP will grow here on business all the time, bottom line. And on Tuesday afternoon,
the dollar is coming down. That's appreciative.
That's the afternoon. So you see me tomorrow afternoon with Business Edge. Thank you very much, Honorable, for joining us tonight. Thank you very much for watching us as well.
In today's interconnected and interdependent world, nations and international businesses are increasingly appreciating the